So I don't have that much room to work with, but my apartment has to function as not only a living space, but an office space as well. And living in Tokyo, it's not the easiest thing to do. What's up kids, my name is Masa, and today I'm showing you my apartment. So I live in Itabashiku, which is northwest of Ikebukuro, pretty much on the border of Saitama. And it's nice here. It's quiet, it's really easy to get to Ikebukuro and the other city centers, and the rent is pretty affordable. I did a monthly costs video a while back, I'll link it up here. So Japanese homes are relatively smaller than the ones I was used to in the US, and that switch required a bit of a shift in my mindset and how I prioritize things. So the apartment that I live in, the format of it is, it's called a 1K, which means there's one room plus a kitchen and the bathroom areas. In my case, I do have a closet as well, which is nice, but it's still relatively small. It's around 30 square meters, which is about 320 square feet, I think. And yeah, I have friends that live in much smaller apartments than I do, but space is, it's a little tight in here. Okay, to start from the entryway of this apartment, when you come in through the front doors, you have the genkan, which is pretty much where you take off your dirty, nasty shoes so you don't bring all the terribleness inside into your box. And then as soon as you take your shoes off, basically you're met with the kitchen on the right side, and then on the left side you have the bathroom and the bathroom. One of them has a toilet, another one has like a washing machine and sink and the actual like bathing area. What's cool about a lot of places in Japan is that you have this bathroom where it's literally just like the shower and the bathtub in its own little room. I like that a lot. So when it comes to the kitchen, believe it or not, the kitchen counter area is actually on the bigger side at this price point. I wanted to have 2 burners and a counter space to put a dish rack, and a lot of the places that are of similar budgets only had the 1 burner and only a tiny sliver between the sink and the stovetops. All right, so now coming into the main room, this is where I spend like 75% of my life nowadays. And it's split up into kind of 5 different sections. And this is something that I experimented when I first moved in here. I needed to make different areas within this room. Otherwise, it was just gonna feel like one tiny box. So as I showed you before, my kitchen area doesn't have that much space to actually prepare anything. And so I have this little bit that extends into the main room where I have like a shelving unit, I have my garbage here, and this little thing that I use as a countertop. And that way I can use cutting boards on it. I can store my toaster, my rice cooker and everything all in this area. And it keeps it from bleeding it further into this room. It's also just nice to have closer access to the kitchen. I don't know, it makes sense to have it there. And next to all that, that's where I have all my camera gear. And with my camera gear, I actually don't have that many cameras and lenses, I don't think. Not nearly as many as some other people might. But I do have tons of like tiny little accessories and trinkets and bags. I have a billion bags. All the bags that I have serve specific use cases, and I do use them, maybe not super frequently, but I do use them, and I'm keeping them. But I do have the main camera bags on the wall, and that's helped to kind of free up some space off the ground. And I don't know, I just like how it looks. I also got this shelf where I was able to put pretty much all of the smaller accessories. Right now it's kind of a mess, but it's nice to have everything all in one spot. So this corner behind me right now, this is where I spend most of my time. This is where my workstation is. This is where I do all of my work. But it's a super budget setup. You might have seen it behind me in some of my other videos, but for the tabletop, it's like the cheap Linmon tabletop with some janky IKEA legs, and it works. But the desktop computer, the tower itself, is a custom built PC that I put together earlier this year. I'll leave the main parts in the description below. But it handles most 4K files pretty nicely. If I have to make proxies, I'll make proxies, but overall I'm super happy with it. The monitor is an LG 34UM58P. It's a 1080p ultra-wide monitor, and while I wish I had a 4K monitor, 1080 is still nice. The extra width is really nice for editing and for productivity purposes. And I used to have a monitor arm that went with it, but it broke, and so now I just use that box because one man's trash is the same man's monitor riser. For audio, I have a really beat up Audio-Technica ATH M50. I've had this for years now, but I don't know, they're really comfortable. I like them a lot, but I don't like to have headphones on all the time, especially since it gets so humid in Japan. So I bought these Creative Pebble speakers as well. They're super cheap. It's like 2,000 yen or around $20 US, and they're not the greatest, but they work. They're good enough. All right, so across from desk, I have this low table, and this is where I eat or I do some other work, whether it be paperwork or if I wanna take a break from being at the desk and kind of sit down and work on my laptop. I don't know, I'm super fidgety and I don't really have that great of an attention span, and so it's nice for me to be able to switch workstations. The tabletop is also reversible, which is nice, and so sometimes I'll flip it over if I want to get like a different background, if I wanted to do like a flat layer, if I wanted to try out different photos. And also, since this table is a kotatsu, it does have a heater underneath, and so in the wintertime, I can plug it in and just keep my legs warm. It's the greatest invention there ever was. All right, so now moving over to the last section of the room, this is where my bed and the TV are. And so this is like my leisure and like lazy section. Now, when I first moved here, I actually had the bed right in the middle of the room. And so it used to be desk, well, the desk used to be over here, but it used to be like a desk, bed, and then eating area. And it was annoying because when I would cook, I would have to like pretty much go around my bed in order to eat. And then in addition to that, since the bed was in the middle, it was just so easy to just collapse onto it. It didn't matter if I was cooking, it didn't matter if I was working, just all productivity gone because the bed was like front and center, and it was just too easily accessible. And so now it's over there, banished to the other side of this box. But placing the bed on the opposite side, it's allowed me to create this mental separation between work and leisure, and it just made this small space a lot more productive and easier to work in. And then there's one more thing in here that actually ties the room together a little bit. I have this thing, it's called a Nature Remo Mini, and essentially it turns a lot of the things that I have into smart things that I have. Basically, what it does is allows me to have anything that has a remote control and turn it into something that can be voice controlled. And so in pairing the Nature Remo Mini with my Google Assistant, I'm able to control the TV, the air conditioning unit, as well as the lights with voice control with Google, as well as an app on my phone. It's just nice to be able to voice control everything, especially when I'm in bed or when I'm getting up. I'm a lazy person. It's not a big home, but it does what it needs to do. There are a couple things that I think I want to change in the near future though. Like this table here, the kotatsu, I might want to get rid of it and essentially put a dining table in here that's a little bit higher up at a normal height, just because it's kind of annoying to have to always sit on the floor. And I don't know, I'm kind of bored with it. I've had it for like a couple of years now and I'm ready for a change. The other thing that I might want to do is I might want to take this desktop, this tower, and get it off the desk. It's kind of cramped on here and I don't know, I want more space. I like to have openness. But that is my apartment. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about life here or about apartments in Japan, I'll help you out if I can. Just leave them in the comments below. And otherwise, again, thank you so much. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, do the subscribing YouTube things, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.